Good morning, everyone. So, in this video, we are going to cover the monthly magazine Vision IAS. This is not the official channel of Vision IAS. The objective is to simplify the magazine so that you can cover entire magazine in 3 hours maximum. Okay, the PDF of this entire magazine is available on the Civil Academy app in simplified sense. The actual magazine is available on the official website of Vision IAS. It is freely available. Okay. Now let's start as usual. Initially, there is a polity section. Okay, and in polity section, there is a land registration system. Now understand in a very simple sense, land is a state subject. In our country, as of now, the land registration system or land titling system that is based on presumption. So there are two major type of land titling system. One is presumptive and second is conclusive. We will talk about it. But before that, let me explain. Whenever there is a transaction of land, that simply means the seller has sold the land to the buyer. So S is seller, B is buyer. They need to process this entire transaction with the government focus and what is being referred to G in this case. Okay. Now there will be three major documents related to land. One is sale deed. Sale deed basically means a document related to sales. Deed is nothing but a legal document in simple sense. Okay. So that is a legal document of transfer of property. In this case, S is going to transfer the property to B. Okay. Now understand the registration will be done in registrar office as per Registration Act. Then there will be record of rights. This is basically referred as khata or patta. You might have heard these terms in our local parlance. So they reflect ownership, soil type, and different other information. And this is maintained by Revenue Department. Now understand, this is maintained by Registrar Office. This is maintained by Revenue Department. And there is a survey map. Let's say you have purchased this land. So you are the owner. A is the owner. But what will be the boundary of this land? That is reflected through survey map. So survey map is being maintained by Survey Department. So three departments are there: Registrar Office, Revenue Department, and Survey Department. This is going to specify the boundary, and that's why this entire land registration is quite complex. Why this was in news? Because of a Supreme Court judgment against the state of Bihar. But before that, let me explain the land titling. So one is presumptive land titling system. Presumptive basically means it is presumed. Why it is presumed? Because if you are having documents, it is presumed that you are the owner. Now understand it using one simple example. Let's say S is seller, he is buyer. So S has sold his land to B. This entire process will be done in the government office. Now what happens is that in presumptive land revenue system or land titling system, if there is a dispute in this land, let's say S committed some kind of fraud and documents were posed. Posed basically means fake documents were there. In this case, government is not going to take any responsibility that this transaction was done in government office, so we are going to verify it. No, this entire headache is of B. If you are purchasing land, first verify that the person from whom you are purchasing this land, that person is actual owner, that person is the owner of that much amount of land which you are buying. This is presumptive titling system. In this case, it is assumed that land is being sold if there is a sale deed exists. That simply means paperwork exists. If any dispute will be there, so let's say the seller did some kind of fraud, so B will also be a party. Why? Because you have purchased a fraud land. In a very simple sense, let's say the seller committed some kind of fraud and he tried to sell the government land itself. We purchased it. Now when there will be litigation, then S will be a party, B will also be a party. That is presumptive titling system, and that's why there is a high risk of litigation also. Litigation basically means case. Okay, government responsibility is just government is going to register it. Government will say, okay, you are the seller, you are the buyer. Government will say, you have already done the background check, we will just register it. Let me give you a very basic example. Let's say there is a marriage, so government is going to register it. But what if one partner turn out to be a fraud? Government is not going to take any responsibility in that case. Government will say, okay, you have done your marriage registration in our office, so we assume that you are married. That's it. Then there is a another system which is referred as conclusive titling system. Conclusive basically means, as the name suggests, that government will make sure that you get your right. That means if you have purchased the land, a proper paperwork, then in case if there is a dispute, you will not be party to the dispute. Government will support you. Why? Because this entire process was done in the government office. The government confer the ownership in a very simple sense. Government will take care of this fraud thing. Government will say, okay, if it was done in government office, yes, you own your land. So buyer will not be victim in this case, and the government will be the party to the dispute. That is something which is referred as conclusive titling system. So we have covered two type of land titling system. One is presumptive. In this is presumed that you are owner if you have documents. And in case of conclusive, if there is a dispute or if any fraud is being committed by the seller, in that case, government is going to support the buyer. Why? Because this entire process was done in government office. Okay. Now let's come back to the original topic, land registration system in India. So why it was in use? First thing first, the state of Bihar was updating land record, and Supreme Court in Salimullah versus state of Bihar called for reforms in the land registration and titling. Okay, now understand two three things. A, you need not to go into too much detail. You already know the conceptual part, that is how land is being registered in our country. Okay, now the problem is the system is quite old, the rules are old, and they are quite messy. Plus, since land is a state subject, there is a state to state variation. Okay, land is a state subject, but registration deed, this is in concurrent. Okay, these are the issues. We have already covered these. Now, in K Gopi versus sub registrar case, again you need to mug up this case, but you need to understand the meaning of this statement. Sub registrars have ministerial role only; they cannot verify the ownership or title. In a very simple sense, government will just register it. Why? Because we follow presumptive land titlings. The government will just register it. Government will not take any responsibility. Government will not verify whether your claims are right. It is your responsibility as a buyer to verify that. But in case of conclusive system, government will confer the ownership right. That is a difference. Now, various initiative has been taken to modernize the land records. For example, Digital India Land Record Modernization Program. And there is a unique identity for a land parcel. It is referred as Bhu Aadhaar. Is a 14-digit number. Okay. Apart from that, various state government initiatives are there. Just go through them. Very basic thing, nothing extraordinary in this. X is related to digital personal data protection rule. Now understand, for the protection of digital personal data, three things are there. Digital personal data. We have DPDP Act. What is DPDP? Digital Personal Data Protection Act 23. This act is of 2023. Now new rules were issued under this act, and these are DPDP rules 25, and that's why it was in use. Okay, first thing first, which ministry is there? MEITY. Examiner can set a trap by changing the ministry. So it is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Okay, now understand, the basic objective is to protect the personal data. Okay, there is a compliance period for the organizations. Compliance period basically means now the government has issued rules, so you have 18 months to follow these rules. That means set your house in the order, and then start following these rules. Within 18 months, you should be ready to implement these rules. That is the meaning of compliance period. Again, examiner can set a trap by saying 24 months or any other duration. Now, what are the obligations of data fiduciary? First thing first, who is a data fiduciary? In a very simple sense, data fiduciary basically means who hold your data. Hold data. So let's say a company C is there. This company store your data. Okay, you have given some kind of data to it. So what are its obligations? A, without consent, it cannot do, and you have right to withdraw your consent. Again, quite simple because it is your right to privacy. Then there is a concept of erase personal data once the purpose is fulfilled. Now, this is similar to right to forgotten. Forgotten. What is right to be forgotten? Understand? Right to be forgotten basically means your digital data, you have right to get it removed from the digital platform. Okay, and the data fiduciary need to maintain this data for 1 year unless explicitly specified. Again, duration can be changed by examiner. And if there is a data breach, these fiduciary need to notify the government, and they need to publish data protection officer details, that who is the data protection officer in your organization. Okay, so these are some of the provisions. And if there is a request, you to respond within 90 days. You means data fiduciary, and there should be a special protection for the children data. These are the obligations. Now, how to ensure that these obligations are fulfilled properly? For that, we have DPBI. What is DPBI? It is Data Protection Board of India. Okay, how many members will be there? There will be 4 members. What will happen if you are not happy with the judgment of DPBI? So you can appeal in TDSAT. What is TDSAT? It is Telecom Dispute Settlement Appellate Tribunal. Understand? We have a body named as TRI, and this is important. Question can be asked from this. What is TRI? Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. The appeals of TRI are appealed in TDSAT, Telecom Dispute Settlement Appellate Tribunal. Similarly, the appeals of DPDI are also appealed in TDSAT. Examiner can set a trap that the appeals will be directly appealed in High Court, or maybe not appealed, or something like that, or maybe to the Government of India. Okay, so just remember this trap. Now, as far as this act is concerned, the logic is quite simple. With digitization, the data protection is necessary. Okay. Now, understand, what if these data fiduciary do not follow the guidelines? So there are various penal provisions, financial provisions. 250 crore fine for security failure, 200 crore for breach related violations, and 50 crore for other violations. Please remember the factual information, because examiner can change these information, and there is a high possibility that there will be question from this particular topic. Now there is one more conflict. Understand. First, let me simplify this conflict. We have two act. One is DPDP. DPDP basically says that your digital personal data should be protected. And there is RTI. What is RTI? Right to information. So RTI says that personal data can be disclosed if it is useful for public purpose. Personal information can be disclosed if it is useful for public purpose. That is section 8 of RTI. But section 44 of DPDP says that it cannot be done because it will violate privacy. In a very simple sense, the section 44 of DPDP amend the RTI, and now there is an exemption for all personal information. Now let me simplify. Is a government official? How much is the property of that government official? That is basically his personal information. But under RTI, that could have been disclosed for wider public purpose. Okay. But now under DPDP, because it is personal information, it cannot be disclosed. And if it is disclosed, there is a provision of these kind of penalties. So that's why it is criticized that this DPDP has kind of overshadowed the Right to Information Act. Just understand the conflict. In prelims, sections can be asked. So just remember section 44 of DPDP and section 8 of RTI. Okay. And examiner can just frame the statement in such a way just to test whether you understand this issue or not. Okay. These are some of the common issue. Again, important for me is just go through them. I have already explained everything. Next is related to India AI governance guidelines. name itself is self-explanatory. Guidelines issued by the government for the use of AI. Okay, we have India AI mission. Now, what are the issues in our AI governance? See, first issue is digital divide. Just understand the meaning. Two people are there, A and B. A have access to digital information, B don't have. So there is a difference or a divide between them. This is referred as a digital divide, have and have not. Some people have access to this digital technology, so they are in good position. Some don't have, so they are in a bad position. Second is algorithm discrimination. In a very simple sense, we are talking about AI, but this AI is being trained by human beings only. We all have biasness. So what if that biasness is reflected in the AI itself? Let me give you a very simple example. We all feel that people of our state or people of our caste or people of our religion, they are kind of superior. Some kind of biasness is there. We are training the AI model. Now the AI will also start believing this. So when you are going to ask who is the right person for this job, and there will be biasness. This is basically referred as algorithmic discrimination. Now, this is being said that ultimately human biasness will be now transferred into the AI. Rest of the issues are quite common. Next, there is one more issue related to IPR. Now, understand what is IPR. IPR is intellectual property right. What is intellectual property? Intellectual property is creation of human mind. Created it. It is something which you created using your brain. So, let's say you have written a book. Now, this is your creation, your creative work. So, you can get copyright for this. Problem is that these AI models are being trained with the help of copyrighted material. Let's say you published 4 books. AI models are being trained using those books without even your permission. Now, these AI models are trained enough so they can write fifth book based on your content, and you will not get any credit for that. So that's one issue. Second issue is that since it can generate new content, it is basically referred as Gen AI. What is Gen AI? Generative AI. Who is going to have copyright over that Gen AI content? So that is another issue. Apart from that, there is issue related to AI overview. Understand this as well. For example, you searched a term IPR related issue. Now, when you are going to use Google, it is going to provide you overview on the search page itself. This you got the overview, you will not visit those website. Why you will not visit website? Because you have already got the overview. These websites are saying that this is loss of our revenue. Why it is loss of revenue for them? Because the user is not coming to the website, and since user is not coming to the website, it is the Google who is having the control over their revenue. Getting my point? So websites are saying Google is using our content to show overview, and therefore we are going to lose revenue because now the user will not come to our website. So these are some of the issues. Okay, rest everything is quite common. As far as AI is concerned, Europe was the first to regulate AI through Europe AI Act of 2024. And there was a Blashley declaration which was signed by the countries of European Union to talk about the opportunities and risk by the frontier AI. Now understand, just remember this Blashley. Now two type of statement can be framed from it. One is who signed it, and it is related to which sector. It could be related to climate change, environment, or maybe clean energy or something like that. है ना? So just remember this is related to frontier AI. Frontier basically means advanced AI technology. Now, what is India's AI mission? So it was launched in 2024, and objective is to deploy 10,000 GPU. Please cover this topic of APU versus GPU versus TPU. This can be asked in exam. Okay. Uh, so basically, government is setting up the AI infrastructure which can be used by the companies. Let me give a very basic example. Let's say you don't have your private study room and you want to study. Okay. So what government is doing? Government is setting up a library. You will use the facilities of library to study. Similarly, you want to use AI, or you want to develop some product using AI. For that, you need GPU, but they are very costly. So you don't have that kind of infrastructure. What government is doing, that we will set up the infrastructure. You use this infrastructure, to continue your AI projects. Okay. Then there is a Coleridge dilemma. What is this dilemma? Understand. When AI is new, and it is new, countries hesitate to regulate it. Why? Because if they will regulate too much, it will hinder the development of AI. But once AI is well developed, then it will be very difficult to regulate. Why? Because now AI is changing very fast. The law does not change that fast. Okay, this is major issue. Now understand in a very simple sense. For example, there is a deep fake. What is deep fake? A content which is fake but which appears genuine. Now, the moment we will have law on this, by that time there will be much more serious applications of this deepfake, and that's why it is often said that in this case, technology is changing faster than the rules and regulation. Next is related to tribunals. Understand? In a very simple sense, tribunals are the specialized courts. Okay. Now, what was the entire dispute? First, understand for the appointment in the tribunals, the Tribunal Reform Act was enacted in 2021. Understand? Tribunal is a quasi body, quasi judicial body. So, what will happen? If there is a case of special nature, it will be sent to tribunal. For example, let's say I'm oversimplifying. There is a income tax related case, so it will go to income tax tribunal. Why not to the regular court? Because this is a complex issue, and for that we have a specialized body. Okay. Now understand, when cases are going on in tribunal, in lot of cases government itself is a party. That means cases filed against government. So when government is appointing the members of tribunal, it is a conflict of interest and it is a violation of separation of power. How it is a conflict of interest? Government is a party, that means case is filed against government, and government itself is appointing the members of the tribunal. That is why the court has struck down this Tribunal Reform Act of 2021. So, first understand what were the provisions in this Reform Act and what the Supreme Court said. Okay. First thing first, what was the tenure of the members? 4 year was the tenure, and minimum 50 years was the age criteria. The Supreme Court said that minimum tenure should be 5 years at least. Second, the court also said that those who have experience of more than 10 years in the legal field, they should be considered for the appointment in this case. That means lawyers having minimum 10 years of experience. Why to fix this criteria of minimum 50 years of age? Why not to allow young talent? That was the second argument. Third argument is related to the appointment, and that is the most important point. Second. Okay. Now understand, for the appointment there will be a search cum selection committee which will be chaired by the Chief Justice of India. Okay. So there will be a person who is going to be CCI. Then there will be two members who are going to be the secretary. Secretary basically means government officials in a very simple sense. So one will be CCI, plus there will be two secretaries, and one member will be of tribunal. For example, we are appointing member for a tribunal. So the chairperson of that tribunal will be one member, two member will be the government officials, and one will be CCI. The Supreme Court said that in this case the legal members are less. From judicial side there is CCI. And there are two government officials. So that is a clear-cut violation of separation of power, and that's why the court struck down this particular amendment. Okay, extremely sorry for that. So the court has previously given various judgments in which it has specified that in tribunals there should be a dominance of judicial members. Why? Because ultimately they are going to decide things, and in certain cases they have to take decision against the government itself. So this was highlighted by the court in Madras Bar Association case. These are multiple cases, so just remember MBA, that is Madras Bar Association. Okay. Apart from that, the court also said that there is a need to set up a NTC. What is NTC? National Tribunal Commission. So this commission is going to be responsible for the appointment. Okay. And till the time the NTC is set up, there should be a separate wing or separate kind of body within Ministry of Finance. Now, this is important. Examiner can set a trap that this need to be in Ministry of Law, but it need to be in Ministry of Finance for the purpose. Okay. Rest everything is quite common. We have already discussed these. Tribunals are set up as per Article 323A. Parliament is going to set up the administrative tribunals, and for others, there is Article 323B. What was the first tribunal? Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Now, understand this thing. You might wonder that tribunals came into picture in a very later stage after 42nd Amendment. But this tribunal was set up much before that. So after 42nd, we provided a constitutional basis for it. Okay. Next is related to legal aid. Again, it is a very simple topic. Why it was in news? Because it completed 30 years. But you might wonder how come something can complete 30 years when the act was enacted in 1987. It was enacted in 1987, but the implementation started from this second 1995, and that's why it completed 30 years. So first, again, examiner can set a trap that it was implemented immediately after the enactment. Okay. Now, as far as Lok Adalat is concerned, understand the name itself is self-explanatory. Lok plus Adalat. So it is a method of alternative dispute resolution. What is this ADR? Without going court, dispute resolution without going court. Okay. So alternative to what? Alternative to regular judicial system. So what is the benefit? This is less complex, plus it will also reduce the burden on the judiciary. Okay. First such Lok Adalat was organized in Gujarat in 1982, and subsequently it was given statutory status under Legal Service Authorities Act of 1987. Okay, which was amended in 2002. Okay, these are already covered in Lakshmikant, so nothing new is here in this case. Please go through that. All you have to do in terms of current affairs is you should know that it completed 30 years. That's it. Rest everything is covered in Lakshmikant. Understand one more thing. Please do not try to cover static part through current affairs. What do I mean by that? That you are not covering your static part properly, and then you think that okay, I will cover only those static portion which are in current affairs magazine. No, that is very wrong strategy, and it will waste your attempt. So please don't do that. Okay. Next is related to Supreme Court assent on bills. So understand, in April, the Supreme Court had given a judgment that there is a timeline for the governor to approve the bills. Just let me explain. Tamil Nadu versus the governor of Tamil Nadu. That was the case. Court said that there will be a timeline. Subsequently, the government of India through president filed a presidential reference. What is presidential reference? In a very simple sense, president asked for the opinion of the court. Okay. Subsequently, as a result of that 16 presidential reference under Article 143, the court said that no, we cannot specify any timeline. If it is not mentioned in the constitution, how judiciary can specify a timeline? So that is the judgment. Okay. Now this is different from the previous judgment of April. In April judgment, basically the court had specified a timeline of 3 months. Just remember this thing. But the court also specified few issues. One is there is no concept of deemed assent. What is this? In a very simple sense, let's say there is a timeline of 3 months. What if the governor do not take any action till 3 months? In that case, it will be considered as past. Understand, this concept is referred as a deemed assent. That means it is considered that you have approved it. In case of USA, this principle is there for the president. But the court specified that it is not mentioned in our constitution, and therefore it will not be applicable in our case. Secondly, the court also said that the governor and the president cannot sit on the bills indefinitely. That's a violation of the federal structure. Why it is a violation of federal structure? Understand. The Assembly of a state has passed a bill. The bill was referred to the governor. Now, governor is not taking any action. Technically, it is against the will of the people. Why? Because the assembly is elected by the people before making law. Now, if governor is not going to approve it, that's a violation of this federal structure because governor is appointed by the central government. So in this case, it is criticized that governor is acting as agent of center. Okay, and the rest is the court can intervene if the intention of the governor or the president is modified. Malified basically means bad intention is there. So there are three important things. In a very simple sense, the court said that no, we cannot specify any timeline, but it does not mean that the president or the governor will take infinite amount of time to approve these bills. And there is no concept of deemed assent. Deemed assent basically means it will be approved automatically if no action is taken within a time limit. There is no such concept in our constitution. This was specified or clarified by the court in this presidential reference. Okay. Next is related to use of AI in the judiciary. So recently, a report was released by the Supreme Court Center for Research and Planning. Understand again very low possibility to ask a question in prelims. In mains, of course, it can be asked. So I'm going to explain it from that perspective. First is as we have said that the use of AI have privacy risk. Too much dependency on AI is not good because a there are biasness. Why there are biasness? Because ultimately, who is going to train them? Human beings. So our biasness will be reflected in the judgments of AI as well. And then there is a hallucination. In a very simple sense, it can create fake scenarios which does not exist. Ultimately, passing a judgment basically means the judge need to understand the scenario, different scenarios. It is not just a program that okay, this is a crime, this is a punishment. No, the judge need to consider a lot of circumstances, and that's why it could be quite risky to be over dependent on AI. Yes, you need to use AI in the better management of the cases, but ultimately the decision should be passed by the judge. So that is the argument, and we need to promote ethical use of AI, and all these things are already there. Next is related to prison in India, 2025 report. Again, it is also by the same Center for Research and Planning. We have already covered this prison topic the month of October magazine. So please go through that. In a very simple sense, just remember this one thing that India follow the Nelson Mandela rules. What is this Nelson Mandela rules? So these are United Nations standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. In very simple sense, we are going to treat prisoners like human beings. They are not animals. They should be treated like human beings. That is it. Just remember this Nelson Mandela rule. Okay. Rest everything is already there. We have already covered these issues in last month. Next is Model Youth Gram Sabha. So in a very simple sense, we are trying to bring young people into the third tier government. So integration of the young people into the third tier. So this is an initiative of Ministry of Panchayati Raj along with Ministry of Education and Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Okay, and the objective is to promote the participation of the youth at Panchayati level or at Gram Sabha level. So with this, we have covered the polity section. Okay, now we are going to start the IR section. Now understand two, three important things. In IR section, first is related to rising global nuclear risk and India's approach to nuclear disarmament. In a very simple sense, US President Trump said that they are going to resume the nuclear weapon testing. What is our stance? We usually say that we need to disarm. That simply means we have to focus on disarmament. We need not to promote the use of nuclear weapons. Okay. Now, in this context, there are various treaties. Just understand two, three important things. A, NPT is there, Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons Treaty of 1970. It promotes disarmament, but it is discriminatory. It allows P5 countries to have nuclear weapons. Since they had tested before this treaty. So that's why India says that it is discriminatory, and that's why we did not sign it. Then there is CTBT, that is Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. As the name suggests, it is comprehensive. That simply means it banned the test below the surface and above the surface. Okay, it prohibit the nuclear explosion test, but it has not been ratified by the key country. Then there is a treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, again a legally binding treaty to refrain from the nuclear weapon activities. This one is important. This can be asked. And the Pact for the Future, it reaffirms the goal of the total nuclear disarmament. So just remember this thing. Rest everything is quite common. What about India's nuclear policy? So we follow a policy of credible minimum deterrence. In a very simple sense, we use nuclear weapon as a deterrence, so that if someone is going to attack us, we will use it, but we will not use it first. So we have a policy of no first use. What does that mean? If our neighboring country, for example, China and Pakistan, they have nuclear weapons. So if they are going to attack us through nuclear weapons, then only we are going to use our nuclear weapons. Otherwise, we won't use. So this is referred as no first use. Next is related to G2. What is G2? I understand there was a APEC summit. What is APEC? Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. This was organized in Busan in South Korea. In that summit, basically Trump reflected this G2. What is G2? It's a kind of grouping of two countries. Which two countries are there? One is China, second is USA. So just remember two countries, China and USA. This concept was first proposed by the Fred Bergstern. Okay. Next is related to G20. So G20 summit was organized in Johannesburg in South Africa. US did not participate into it. So understand this thing. Examiner can set a trap that US announced this and this initiative during G20 summit. No, US did not participate. Okay. There are various complaints. Basically, US said that South Africa is against human rights, this and that. So you need to understand the background. Okay. What was the theme? Solidarity, equality, and sustainability. Okay. Now understand. This was the first ever G20 summit held on the African soil. When India was the host of G20, in that case, African Union was included into this G20 grouping. And after that, this was the first time. Last year, it was organized in Brazil. Okay. And this year, it was in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And it was guided by the philosophy of Ubuntu. Basically, I am because we are. You can use this kind of term in your essay. In prelims, of course, they are not going to ask you. So what were the major initiative or major developments or major outcome of this summit? One is debt sustainability. Understand, this proposed a cost of capital commission. We have discussed this issue last month as well, that developing countries, they have very high cost of borrowing. So to deal with that issue, there is a proposed cost of capital commission to examine the structural issue that drive up the borrowing cost for the developing country. In a very simple sense, high interest rate for the developing country. The objective of this cost of capital commission, as the name says, cost of capital. That means what will be the cost of the money which you have borrowed. Cost of money simply means interest rate. So that is just a fancy way of saying it. Next is global resilience and development. Just remember, there is a proposal to develop early warning for all initiative by 2027. Early warning for what? For disaster, so that we can reduce the impact of that disaster. Okay. Then there is a energy and climate transition. So just remember this mission 300. So this is led by World Bank and African Development Bank. What is the objective? Objective is to provide electricity to 300 million people by 2030. Now this is important. This can be directly asked, what is mission 300? And examiner can give you options like plantation of trees or something like that, but it is related to electricity. Okay. Then there is a Nelson Mandela Bay target. What is this target? Target is to reduce the need by 5% by 2030. What is this need? Youth, young people who are not in employment, are not working, are not studying or training. That simply means youth not in employment, education and training. That is need. So just remember, the goal is to reduce the need. And then there is a Brisbane A Hackney goal. What is this goal? Again, to reduce the gender gap in the labor force. Now understand, nowadays examiner ask complex questions from the very common topics. Of course, they are not going to ask who is the who was the host, and even if they ask, everyone knows that. But they can ask you these kind of development, for example, what is the objective of this goal, or what is the objective of Nelson Mandela Bay target. So you need to remember this. Okay. Next is related to India and US defense ties. Again, nothing new is happening in this case. We have just renewed our partnership for next 10 years. Okay. uh, as far as US and India are concerned, we have 2 plus 2 dialogue. 2 plus 2 basically means two ministers from Indian side and two ministers from US side. Which two ministers? Our external affairs minister and our defense secretary. Sorry, our defense minister. From their side, there will be a secretary of state and a secretary of defense. Okay, just the same. Okay. Now, there are various agreements between India and USA. Again, we have covered these agreements multiple times in the past months as well. Please go through that. Uh, for example, GSO MIA, that is for military information agreement, is there. Then we have Limoa for logistic exchange. Then we have Comcasa for communication compatibility. We have BECA for basic exchange and communication. Okay. In 2060, US has given the status of major defense partner, and subsequently, India's strategic trade authorization was also given. Meaning, we can purchase the weapons in a faster way. But the problem is, as of now, there is not sufficient technology transfer from US side. Technology transfer means what? US in this case is just acting as a seller. US just want to sell. They don't want to share the technology. And on the other hand, India is focusing on the technology. We say that we cannot be a perpetual buyer. Perpetual buyer basically means we are not going to buy forever from you. We want to produce the. With Russia, we have a slightly different equation. For example, with Russia, we are producing BrahMos, and that is a joint initiative of India and Russia. We have started the production, and then we are exporting it to Philippines. Philippines is going to use it to counter China. Now, understand the equation here. Russia and China are very close friends. Still, there is no objection in this equation. Getting my point? Even if there is, it has been diplomatically handled. So, Russia and India, they both are co-producing something. They're exporting it to a country which is going to use it as a defense against China. But with USA, our equation is very different. USA do not want to focus more on the technology part. USA want to focus more on the sales part. These are the issues. We have already discussed the strategic autonomy challenge, like US is saying why you are purchasing oil from Russia. And subsequently, there is a risk of CATSA. What is CATSA? Countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. Sanctions on like Russia, sanctions on Iran, and sanctions on North Korea. We have purchased S-400 missile defense system from Russia. So subsequently, there was a risk. Okay. Rest everything is quite common. Again, just go through it. Next is related to India-Bhutan relations. So our Prime Minister recently visited Bhutan. Now, understand there was a festival, Global Peace Prayer Festival. So it can be asked that this festival was organized in which country? So it was organized in Thimphu in Bhutan. And it featured the relics of Pipar Hawa, which are the relics of Lord Buddha. Okay. Now, what were the major outcome of this particular visit? So there is a inauguration of hydroelectric project. I have already mentioned the name. Just go through that. Okay. India is going to support the Gyalsung National Service Program. In a very simple sense, it is a mandatory national service for youth in Bhutan. What do I mean by that? That simply means, try to understand it this way, that it is mandatory for people that they will participate in the national service in Bhutan. Okay. And India is going to provide financial support for this program. And then there are rail link. This is important. One is Kokrajhar Gelifu. This is one link. This can be asked in exam. And second is Banarhat Samatse. So this is second link. I'm going to show you the map also. Wait a second. Yes. So this is Gelifu, and this is Kokrajhar. This is Banarhat. So it is going to connect simply some areas of India to the areas of Bhutan. So this will improve connectivity. Apart from that, India is going to allot a land in Varanasi for the construction of Bhutanese temple or monastery. So again, the location can be asked that India have decided to provide land in this particular city. Okay. Next is UN80 initiative. Again, it has been covered so many times. The objective is to discuss the reforms in United Nations. In this case, just remember one statement which you can use in your mains exam, that we cannot build the future for our generations. We cannot build the future for our generations from the institutions of our grandparents' time. That means we cannot create a future for our grandchildren from the institutions of our grandparents. Okay. Next is related to East Asia Summit. Just understand this was organized in Kuala Lumpur, and subsequently there was Kuala Lumpur Declaration on the Peace and Stability. First summit was organized in 2005 in Kuala Lumpur. Which countries are the members? So ASEAN countries are members. Then India is there, and China is there, Australia is there, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, US, and Russia. Yes. So remember, it is having 8 other members. Okay. Next is APEC, that is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. So this was organized in South Korea in the city of Gwangju, and the secretariat of APEC is in Singapore. India is not a member of this. We have observer status. Okay. Next is India, Australia, and Canada Technology and Innovation Initiative. So this was started on the sideline of G20 summit. Just remember, the name is self-explanatory: Australia, Canada, and India. Next is World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization. So APEC summit was there in South Korea. In that summit, China proposed this global body. What is this global body? That is WICO. What is WICO? World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization. So in a very simple sense, it is a brainchild of China. Okay. For what? For the global cooperation on what sector? On the use of artificial intelligence. Okay. It was announced during 2025 World Intelligence Conference, which was organized in Shanghai. Again, how examiner can set a trap that it was proposed by India or maybe by USA. No, just understand this thing. Next is related to Abraham Accord. In a very simple sense, Abraham Accord is an initiative of USA to normalize the ties between Israel and the Muslim countries. Just remember this thing. Okay, why it was in news recently? Because Kazakhstan is going to be the part of this Abraham Accord. So, as the name suggests, the objective is to diffuse the tensions in the Middle East. Tensions between what? Tensions between Israel and Muslim countries. Why there are tensions? Tensions are because of Israel-Palestine issues. Okay, so various Muslim countries used to support the cause of Palestine, and that's why there was a hostility between Israel and these Muslim countries. Now, USA is trying to normalize the tie. Okay. Why the name Abraham? Because it is considered as revered by both Jews and by Arabs. Okay. Next is related to Water Convention. So recently, Bangladesh became the first country in South Asia to join this convention. And the full form of the convention, or full name of the convention, is United Nations Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lake. In a very simple sense, it is for sustainable use of water resources. So, examiner can ask which country was the first one. So, it is the name of the convention is Water Convention, and Bangladesh is the first one. It was adopted in Helsinki in 1982. It is a legally binding convention for the sustainable management of the water resources. Okay. Next is Anegada Pass. So this was in news because of the attack, or basically US is saying that there is a narco terrorism in the Caribbean area, and that's why US attacked that. What is narco terrorism? In a very simple sense, US is saying that these people are selling drugs, they are arranging money, and then they are financing the terror operations. Okay, so now have a look at the geographical location, because this can be asked. So this is the Anegada Passes. This is a channel in the West Indies, and it connects the Atlantic Ocean with the Caribbean Sea. So this side, this is Atlantic Ocean, and this is Caribbean Sea. Okay. With this, IR section is over. Okay, so now we are going to start the economy section. In economy, the first topic is export promotion mission. See, understand. India is purchasing cheaper oil from Russia. US have imposed higher tariff, punish India, and subsequently our exports are adversely impacted. So that's why government of India have announced this mission to support our exporters. Okay. Uh, Now there are two important things. One is a support, and then there is a credit guarantee scheme for exporters. What is this scheme? In a very simple sense, let's say I'm an exporter. I have borrowed money. Now the banks will not be willing to give me that much credit. In this case, there will be guarantor. Government will act as a guarantor. That is credit guarantee scheme. Okay. Next is this export promotion mission. So what will done? There is a financial outlay of roughly 25,000 crore. So there are two sub-components of this particular initiative. One is Niryat Prochan. In a very simple sense, financial support will be given to the exporters. That's first thing. Second is Niryat Disha. Disha basically means direction. So this is non-financial support. What is non-financial support? Like how we can export into more countries, how we can simplify the process of export, and how we can make our exporters market ready, and we can make them more competitive. So these are two components which you need to keep in mind. Understand, as far as export is concerned, we have foreign trade policy FTP, which was announced in 2023. Objective is to export $2 trillion by 2030. Out of that, 1 trillion will be of goods and 1 trillion will be of services. Then we have agriculture export policy. This was announced in 2018. The objective was to double the exports by 2022. At that time, it was $30 billion. So the objective was to reach to 60. But as of now, our export is roughly $50 billion. Who is going to implement this mission of export promotion? So that will be by DGFT, that is Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Answer in comment section. Who this DGFT is under which ministry? Now, one more practice which I have witnessed, that students watch these videos, monthly magazine videos, like dead viewer. Understand, it is not my responsibility. I have not committed anything that I will have to make video and you will have to just watch it. If you will not engage, YouTube will consider that it is bogus video. Getting my point? And I'm saying it with complete honesty, that you can search entire internet and you will not find a video covering these many issues in this much time. So it is also your responsibility to take some time, and at least if some question is being asked, please try to answer that. So ultimately, if you people will not respond, YouTube will consider it as a bogus content. I will stop making it. I'm not generating revenue from it, and that is not my intention here. But you need to understand how things work. Okay. Next is related to manufacturing in India. See, understand, primary sector is there, secondary sector is there, tertiary sector is there. The problem is that we jumped directly from primary to tertiary, and this is our missing. This is basically referred as missing middle problem. That's why we need to focus on manufacturing, because we need to create jobs. Tertiary sector cannot create that much job. That's why it is referred as jobless growth. Primary sector is creating jobs, but they are not that much productive. For example, roughly 45% population is engaged in primary sector, but their contribution in GDP is less than 20%. Okay, so that's why we have to focus on manufacturing. Now, recently, Niti Aayog released a report, and that's why this entire issue was in news. The report is reimagining manufacturing. That means we have to focus on manufacturing again with new targets. So basically, we have to focus on the core frontier technology. Frontier technology basically means advanced technology like AI, machine learning, advanced materials, digital twin. Now, what is this digital twin? Let's say we are constructing a building here. Okay, this is physical construction. This building is there. We have created a digital model of this. Kind of computer program is there. So whenever there will be any kind of new construction, we will be able to see its replica in digital mode. You will not have to go physically to verify the status of construction. This is basically referred as digital twin. Twin basically means we have created a replica model in a digital format. Okay. Then we have to focus on other emerging areas such as electronics, semiconductors, pharma, green energy. What are the issues? Issues are that we are not that much competitive when it comes to manufacturing. Our research and development is quite investment in R&D is quite low. For example, it is 0.64%. Countries like China, they spend roughly 2.5%. Then there is a World Inequality Report. World Inequality Report was released by World Inequality Lab. Now, for the sake of understanding, I have compiled this entire information in a table format so that you can understand it easily. So, as per this World Inequality Report, the top 10%, globally have the share of 75% wealth. That means top 10% people have 75% of the wealth of the planet. The bottom 50% have the 2% of the total wealth. That itself shows the level of inequality. This is global data, by the way. Top 10%, this is about income. These two were about wealth. Wealth is overall, income is your regular money. So, top 10% income is more than the remaining 90% combined. That simply means, let's say there are 100 people. So, these 10 people earn more than remaining 90. That again shows inequality. Share of income earned by bottom 50%, that is less than the 10%. Okay. And then related to carbon emission, top 10% richest, they emit 77% of the private capital related emissions. For example, they have private jet, they have air conditioners, they have vehicles. On the other hand, the poorest 50%, they emit only 3%. So you can use this data to reflect inequality. What about India? So top 10% have 58% of the national income. Bottom 50% have 15% of the national income. Top 10% in our country have the 65% of the national wealth. And top 1% have 40% of the national wealth. That itself shows the level of inequality. In a very simple sense, understand it this way: remaining 99% have 60%, and top 1% have 40%. Okay, so these numbers are important. Again, do not try to mug them up as of now. Just see them before exam. Next is implementation of labor code. So recently, 4 labor codes were implemented. Now understand, the objective is to simplify the rules and regulations for labor hiring. There are 4 codes, and we are going to discuss them one by one. Please understand, the labor falls in the concurrent list. That means central government is just providing a broader framework. The necessary detailed work will be done by the states. Okay, that's why the term code. It's a kind of model. Okay, so there are 4 code. One is code on wages. Name suggests that this is going to be related to wage. What should be wage? And then there is a code on industrial relation. There is a code on social security, and then there is a code on occupational safety, health, and working condition. So let's try to cover them one by one. One is a code on wages. So what should be the wage or salary? Okay. To bring uniformity, this code has been specified. Now, this will be applicable to all employees in both organized and unorganized. Examiner can set a trap that it will be applicable only in organized sector. No, it will be applicable in both organized and unorganized. Okay. Now, there will be a statutory floor wage. Statutory floor wage means what? Statutory means by law. Floor means minimum amount has been fixed by the central government. Let's say it is 200 rupee. So the states cannot issue below this than this. Of course, they can announce higher wage, but they cannot announce below this. Okay. So state cannot fix minimum wage below the floor wage. Floor means lower limit, ceiling means upper limit. Okay, for example, in land ceiling, we have covered this ceiling concept. Okay. Second is Industrial Relation Code 2020. So this is going to be working on the industrial relation, like to simplify the rules related to trade unions. Now let me simplify. Let's say there's a company C, workers are working. These workers have formed a union. This is referred as a trade union. Okay. Now they are going to negotiate against the management of the company. Okay. Now what if there are multiple trade unions? Then what will happen? So, trade union must have 51% membership to be recognized as the sole negotiating union. If you are having, let's say there are 100 workers in company and a trade union is formed. Now one trade union is having 30 members, one trade union is having 40 members. So in that case, they cannot claim that they are the sole representative of the workers. But if they have members more than 50%, then of course they can. So this is the meaning of this thing. If there are multiple trade unions, then there will be a negotiating council having the members from those trade unions. Then they will negotiate. This is simple. Then there is a formal recognition of fixed term employment. Now understand. Let's say you need a worker for 2 years only. So previously, what was happening? These companies used to hire contract labor. Contract labor basically means once a contract is over, your job is done. You are not a permanent employee of the company. But these workers did not receive any social security benefit. Now, to deal with that problem, government has introduced a new concept referred as a fixed term employment (FTE). You will be hired for a fixed term, but you will receive social security benefits. Okay, that is being done to reduce excessive contractualization. In a very simple sense, to reduce excessive contractual workers. What is the problem with contractual workers? They do not receive any social security benefit. Okay, the definition of worker has been expanded to include supervisory staff who is earning up to 18,000. Previously, worker basically means only certain category of people were included. Now, anyone who is earning less than 18,000 will be in this category of worker. Okay, even if you are a supervisor. So previously, what companies used to do, they used to give supervisor title to a worker so that they don't have to follow these rules. Previously, if you are going to fire more than 100 employees, you need prior government approval. Now that limit has been increased to 300. That means you can remove your staff up to 300 people at one time without government approval. Of course, after that, you need government approval. And next is related to code on social security. So as the name suggests, the objective is to provide social security. This one is applicable to all workers, including gig and platform workers. What are gig workers? Understand, they are given work on a particular assignment sense. For example, your Swiggy delivery boy. So they are not the permanent employee of Swiggy. They are going to deliver your order, and for that they are going to receive the payment. So they don't have 9 to 5 job, and that's why they don't have casual employee-employer relationship. If these gig workers are receiving work through a platform, this is referred as platform workers. Let's say construction worker is there. Construction worker is also a gig worker, but that construction worker is not getting work through some app or something. In that case, the construction worker is just a gig worker. But Swiggy delivery boy is a gig worker as well as a platform worker. Why? Because Swiggy is a platform in this case. Okay. So how to provide social security? So there will be 1 to 2% of annual turnover that will be given into social security fund. Who will pay this money? The companies. For example, Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, they are going to pay 1 to 2% of their annual turnover and maximum 5% of the payment to the worker. Okay. This social security fund, this money will be utilized for the welfare of these people. Okay. ESIC coverage. Previously, ESIC was applicable only in notified area. Now it has been expanded to entire country. So those who have more than 10 employees, they need to register mandatorily under ESIC. Those who have less than 10, they may do it voluntarily. That means less than 10, it is voluntary. More than 10, it is mandatory. And there is a mandatory coverage for hazardous occupation and extension to the plantation workers. Okay. Rest everything is quite common. Yes, understand this very carefully. Let's say previously the salary was 100 rupee. So what companies used to do, they will say your basic salary is only 20. Why? Because they have to contribute to the social security fund on the basis of this basic salary. Remaining 80 was given in the form of, let's say, TA, travel allowance, HRA, and all other things. Now government said that if you are paying 100 rupees, minimum 50 need to be considered as basic. Now read this. Uniform definition of wages including basic pay, DNS allowance and retaining allowance with at least 50% of total remuneration counted for social security benefit. If you are giving 100 rupee to your employee, 50 need to be considered as basic pay, and on the basis of this basic pay you will have to contribute. You means employer. Okay. And last is OSH, that is Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code. Name itself is self-explanatory regarding the safety of workers. Okay, so uniform electronic registration threshold, if the organization is having 10 employees, so they need to register it. If the occupation is quite risky, then even if there is one employee, they need to register, and if the nature of the work is hazardous. Okay. Women are allowed to work in all establishment, even during night hours, but with the consent and the safety consent of the that particular female, and there should be adequate safety measures. Then there should be a National Occupational Safety and Health Advisory Board. So this board is going to make sure that these rules are implemented properly. Who is going to be the chairperson of this board? So it will be chaired by the Secretary of Ministry of Labor and Employment. That person will be ex officio. Ex officio means basically whosoever is going to be the secretary will be the chairperson of this board. One more thing, it is a tripartite body. What is tripartite? Tripartite basically means three parties. So government is there, employer is there, employee is there. Next is related to protection of plant varieties and farmers' right. So this act was enacted in 2001 and recently it was in news because of Silver Jubilee. Now understand in a very simple sense. In our country, the seeds are not given patent rights. What is the meaning of patent? You, let's say you developed a vaccine. You have patent right. That means no one else will be able to produce it without your explicit permission. Patent is given for 20 years. But these patent provisions are not applicable in case of seeds. Now you might wonder, then what is the incentive for research and development in seeds? To provide incentive, this act was enacted. The name of the act is Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right. Just remember the name and everything is clear from this name itself. Protection of plant varieties. That means if you are developing new varieties, there is a protection for that. But we also have to make sure that the rights of the farmers are also protected. Now, how come these are in conflict? Understand. Let's say you are a company, you developed a new variety of seeds. Farmer purchased those seeds. Okay. Now, farmer used those seeds for a crop, and after the end of that crop, they stored some of the seeds. After harvesting, new crop was there, and they stored some of the seeds so that they can use it for the next cycle. If it will be patent, then of course they cannot do. That's why to deal with these issues, this act was enacted. Okay. Now this is in compliance with TRIPS. What is TRIPS? Trade related aspect of intellectual property right. Okay. TRIPS allow that you can protect your seed varieties either by giving patent or through a sui generis system. Means you can develop your own system in a very simple sense. So India as a country decided not to give patent but to develop their own system, and subsequently we enacted this act. This is in compliance with UPOV. What is UPOV? International Union for Protection of New Varieties of Plants. Okay. Just remember this thing, we do not give patent for the plants. That means we do not give patent for the varieties of plants. Now, what are the rights under this act? Breeder right. Breeder basically means you have developed a new variety through R&D. So you have exclusive right to produce, sell, market, distribute, import, and export the variety. Otherwise, why you are going to invest your time and money into this if you will not have exclusive right? But understand, farmers are also entitled to register new varieties, and they can receive protection similar to breeders. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to balance the breeder as well as farmers. And farmers are eligible for recognition and reward for conserving the plant genetic varieties. Quite obvious is there. This will be implemented through Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and there is a specific, just a second, there's a specific body to implement these provisions, that is Plant Varieties and Protection of Farmers Right Authority, and this is under administrative control of Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, headquarters is in New Delhi. There is a provision of benefit sharing. What does that mean? If a variety, farmer has developed a variety that is being used by a company, so whatever profit company is going to make, company is going to share the benefit to the farmer. Please understand this one thing: farmers are not entitled to sell the branded seed of a variety protected under this act. I've already explained that scenario. For example, company A developed the seed. After research and development, farmer purchased those seeds and farmers used those seeds for cultivation. At the end of that, new crop is there. Farmer is going to save some seeds from that. And now, what if farmer starts selling those seeds? So that is something which is in conflict with the right of the breeder. Because when we discussed breeder right, we have said that breeder will have exclusive right to sell. But in this case, farmer is also selling. So that's why there was a problem, and that is why farmers are not entitled to sell the branded seed of a variety protected under the act. Next is related to maritime sector. So two important development are there. We have discussed this last month as well. One is India has invited Singapore to join its 1 lakh crore maritime investment roadmap. Apart from that, we have also started DZ Bandar initiative. Bandar basically means refer to Bandargah, that is port. DZ basically means digitization. So it is digitization of our ports. That means we are using data and we are using AI to make them more efficient. Next is related to Green Tug program. It is part of that same maritime initiative. Understand what is tug. So tug are these small boat. This is large ship, and these are the small boats, as you can see. So usually these boats are diesel powered. So this leads to environmental pollution. That's why what we are doing, we're trying to replace the diesel tugboats with greener alternative. They could be battery powered, they could be hydrogen powered, methanol powered, or other fuel power. That is the objective of this green tug program. Okay. Now, what examiner can do? Examiner can set a trap that as a part of this initiative, we are going to do something related to tree plantation, just because there is a green. But understand the meaning of this term, tug. That's everything is self-explanatory. Next is related to financial sector assessment program, and this is a report by World Bank. Understand, as per that report, if India want to be $30 trillion economy by 2047, we have to take certain reforms. What are these reforms? We have to develop resilient system. We have to focus on our digital strength. We have to improve our regulation, and we have to focus on market development, and we have to address the taxation disparities. Taxation disparity between what? Between debt and equity. Debt basically means borrowing, equity basically means stock market. Okay. Our bond market is not well developed, so that's why we have to focus on that part. Okay. Next is related to statement by India's economic advisor on IPO. See, new companies are coming, and soon before their IPO, they turn profitable. Why so? Because now they have to launch IPO. So in that context, Chief Economic Advisor raised concern regarding the increasing use of IPO as an exit route for the early stage investors. Let's say you started a company. Now you want to exit from this company. So what you are doing, you are trying to launch an IPO so that you can sell your shares and people can buy it. Now, why you want exit? Because you think that the future of this company is not good. So ultimately, it is like dumping shares in public. People are naive; they don't understand this, and that's why they are victim. And that is being highlighted by the chief economic advisor. That a lot of IPO, in those IPO, rather than using that money for future plans, the investors or the actual investors, the initial investors, they want an exit. So that is the issue. Next is related to digital initiative to modernize warehousing and boost public distribution system. So government has announced various initiative to improve our PDS. PDS is public distribution system. Okay, what are these initiatives? First is Bhandaran 360. Bhandar basically means warehouse. So this is by CWC to modernize our warehouse. And there is Smart Exim Warehouse system. It is for promoting efficiency in export and import from the warehouse. And there is Ann Bhandaran, Ann Darpan. Ann basically means Anaj, food grain, Darpan. So this is an initiative by FCI to improve and to digitize the food grain depot operations. Then there is Asha platform. It is by Department of Food and Public Distribution to improve the transparency in the PDS and to take feedback from the beneficiary. See, under NFSA, what is NFSA? National Food Security Act. Government provide subsidized food grain to roughly 84 crore people. If we have such a significant program, how come there is a issue of poverty and hunger, especially hunger? So to address that problem, government is taking feedback from the beneficiaries. And next is related to national industrial classification, like how industries are classified. So this is released by MOSPI. What is MOSPI? Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. The last classification was released in 2008. This one was released in 2025. The first one was issued in 1962. In a very simple sense, how industries are classified into different levels so that we can see which kind of industries are growing. So now there will be six digit structure for industries. Previously there was 5 digit. Again, too much technical. Just remember this. Previously there were 5 digit to classify any industry. Now there will be six. Apart from that, there is an inclusion of indigenous sector. See, this classification. This classification is based on United Nations classification, but we have certain indigenous sectors as well. For example, Ayush based healthcare is there, handloom industry is there. So that has also been included. It also covers the emerging sectors such as renewable energy, financial technology, digital technologies, etc. And it integrates the environmental and green economy related industry. Okay, just remember one more thing, that it does not differentiate whether a particular activity is performed by machine or whether it is performed manually. That means it does not classify industries on the basis of nature of technology. So let me give a very basic example. Let's say shirt manufacturing is there. These shirts are being manufactured. There may be a company who is manufacturing this using, let's say, hand or tailors are there, and there is a company who is using machines for this. These are not two different industries. Really, the manufacturing of shirt, this is one. Manufacturing is one industry. Now, some are using technology, some are don't. So that does not mean there will be two classification. This statement says that the activities are classified based on their nature rather than based on the technique or based on the technology. With this, the economy section is over. In security section, first term is white collar terrorism. Just remember this thing. White collar basically means those people who are in reputed professionals. They are involved in terrorism. For example, doctors, engineers. That is referred as white collar terrorism. Again, doctor was arrested from Jammu and Kashmir. When that context, this issue was in news. Then there are certain military exercise. One is Trishul, tri-service exercise, which was conducted on the western side of our country. Then there is Sagar Kavach, so it is coastal security exercise conducted by Indian Coast Guard. Then there is Mitra Shakti exercise between India and Sri Lanka. It is military exercise. Then there is Winbacks between India and Vietnam, army exercise. And there is Malabar, which is between four countries, naval exercise. Which four countries? These are the part of Quad. What is Quad? Quadrilateral security dialogue, India, Australia, Japan, and USA. And then there is Garud. Garud is bilateral air exercise. By name itself, Garud. Uh, that is between India and France. And then there is Ajay Warrior between India and UK, and this is military exercise. Okay, so these were the important military exercise. Now, next topic is related to GPS spoofing. See, spoofing basically means someone who is fake and who is trying to show that they're genuine. For example, there's a concept of email spoofing. Let's say rather than receiving email from Apple, you received email from Apple. So the objective is to convince you that it is genuine email from Apple. Okay, similarly, there are fake GPS signals, and the instances of these signals have increased over Delhi, especially in the airport region. That's why there was a. So this is a kind of cyber attack. What happens is that, see, these people uh, technically they will send a dummy signal to airline. Now if airline is going to believe those signals, it may land at a very dangerous place. So that's why it is quite risky. Now it is a type of cyber attack in which the false signal are sent. Why they are able to send false signal? Because the actual signal is weak, and therefore what happens, they try to overpower or they try to override that signal. Okay, so this is GPS spoofing. Next is related to the missile by Russia, and it is nuclear capable missile, and it is a Burevestnik. So this is a nuclear powered missile. A cruise missile is there, and it is also known as SSC X9 Typhoon. Just remember that it is from Russia. Okay. With this, the security section is over. Now we are going to start the environment section, and in environment section, first is related to COP 30. See, uh, because there is a common problems for forest service, so environment have a significant weightage. But what is happening is that there's excessive information related to environment, and it is very difficult to remember this information. So initially try to cover the core concept, and then every time when you read the information, try to go into details. Okay, so I'm going to cover the core concepts first. uh, COP basically refers to Conference of Parties. UNFCCC refers to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now understand, uh, Brazil was the host of this COP 30. It was hosted in Belém, and it coincided with the 10th anniversary of Paris Agreement. Now understand two, three things. Paris Agreement was COP 21. That was in Paris. Now, what were the major development or major outcome? Before that, understand, this was COP 30. COP basically refers to Conference of Parties. It was COP 20 of Kyoto Protocol. Same meeting was there. It was COP's CMA 7 of Paris Agreement. That is a Conference of Parties on the meeting of Paris Agreement. Okay. So that means after Paris Agreement, this was 7th such meeting. Overall, in terms of duration, 10 years has passed, because that was in 2015, and now we are in 2025. Okay, meetings have been 7. Okay. Uh, Now what was the main objective? Objective was Belém mission to 1.5C. Understand it very carefully. It was organized in Belém. Objective is to control the temperature rise to 1.5 degree. Okay. Now there is a troika. Troika basically means host. So who is going to be the host? So last year, Azerbaijan was host. Brazil was the host of this time, and next is going to be, I think, in this case, when we are referring to COP 31, ideally it should have been Turkey. If we talk about 29, 30, and 31, it should have been Turkey. Please verify this, because we are talking about troika of 3 years: COP 29, COP 30, and COP 31. COP 31 will be hosted by Turkey. So please verify this thing. I'm not able to recall it properly. Next is a Global Implementation Accelerator. As the name suggests, the objective is on implementation. So the objective is to provide support to those countries who are implementing their NDC. What is NDC? Nationally Determined Contribution. Understand the concept of NDC. Every country will specify their target that they are going to take these steps to deal with the climate change. So every country will specify it, and then this is how we are planning to tackle the issue of climate change. Then there is a tropical forest forever facility. So this under this there is a funding of $125 billion. What will be done? This funding will be given to the tropical countries. Okay, why this will be given? So that they can maintain and expand the tropical and subtropical forest. Okay, out of that funding, let's say country received 100 rupee, out of that 20 rupee need to be given to the local communities. That simply means we are ensuring people participation in this forest conservation. Okay, so this initiative is by Brazil, Indonesia, DRC, and China. India have recently joined this as observer, so that's why it is important. Next is a systematic observation impact bond. Understand the concept of impact bond. Impact bond basically means if this impact is going to happen, then only you will recover that money. Let me give you a very basic example. Let's say a bond was issued, the investor is going to invest money into that. They will receive money. Let's say the bond was issued for construction of toilets to improve the hygiene. So they will receive returns and the hygiene standards are improved. That is impact bond. So impact bond is outcome based. Hygiene was the outcome based financing mechanism where private investor provide a capital for social and environmental program, and they are repaid by the government. They will be repaid on outcome or on impact if there is a clearly defined measurable outcomes are achieved. Okay, so this was announced as a part of COP30, and the initial capitalization target is of $200 million by 2036. So these were some of the important outcome. Now the magazine have lot of names, and initially it will not be possible for you to remember. So initially just try to cover the major parts, and subsequently in further reading you can add on. Now, what was India's stance in this COP30? So first thing first, there is a grouping G77. Initially it was of 77, but now it consists of roughly 134 developing countries. Then there is LMDC, like-minded developing countries. So it is a grouping of countries including India, China, Bolivia, Cuba, Egypt, and Iran. Understand, when it comes to climate change, India and China both have same stance. When it comes to climate change, they are together. For example, there is a carbon border adjustment mechanism, carbon tax by European Union. Both India and China oppose that. Okay. Then there is a grouping, another grouping, basic. The name itself is self-explanatory. Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. Okay. Now, what was our position in this? So first we re-emphasize this CBDR-RC. Understand, our stance is that the environment was not polluted equally by developing and developed countries. Developed countries utilizes more resources. They polluted the environment, so it is their responsibility to help more. This is CBDC, CBDR. Common but differential responsibility. Common responsibility is there that we have to protect it, but it cannot be same for everyone. Why it cannot be same for everyone? Because developed countries have exploited more resources, so they should share more burden in solution. Then there is a climate finance as a legal obligation. India's stance is that the Article 9 of Paris Agreement explicitly talks about the climate finance. That means the developed countries, see, just understand this point. Developed countries will provide technology and finance to whom? Developing countries. For what? For dealing with the climate change. That is it. You just need to understand this thing. That is our stance. Rest everything is around this philosophy only. And there is we have criticized the unilateral trade measures. Unilateral basically means one-sided. So we have discussed, for example, carbon border adjustment mechanism (CBAM) by European Union. This is nothing but protectionism. We have criticized it, and we have also emphasized the technology transfer. Already discussed. Okay. Apart from that, India provided strong support for multilateralism and praised the Brazilian presidency for leadership rooted in the spirit of Mutirao. In a very simple sense, inclusion and balance. Okay, so you can use this in essay again. In prelims, of course, there is a low possibility of this information, but in mains, you can use it. Now, as far as climate finance is concerned, India, along with 12 other countries, developing countries, they announced a plan to develop a regional platform for climate finance and nature finance. See, developing countries are struggling to deal with the climate change. They need technology and they need finance. Okay. Now, this was announced during COP30. Objective is to mobilize the resources. Developing countries are participating in this, including India. Okay. What is the broader significance? To arrange the financial resources so that these countries can cope with the climate change. Next is urban air pollution in India. So, because of NCR issue, this entire thing was in news. Now, understand we have a statutory body, Commission for Air Quality Management. This implemented GRAP. What is GRAP? Graded Response Action Plan. First, understand action plan basically means steps we are going to take. Response, graded response action plan. What is graded in this case? That if the pollution will be of this level, we are going to take this step. If pollution is more severe, we are going to take these steps. If pollution will be very severe, we are going to take these steps. That is basically referred as GRAP. Okay, now understand this was introduced by the Supreme Court directions in MC Mehta versus Union of India case. Now, for clean air, we have National Clean Air Program. Objective is to reduce the PM, that is particulate matter concentration, by 40% by 2026 in the major cities. And we have Commission for Air Quality Management. This is statutory body for air quality in NCR region. Next is related to our renewable energy growth. Understand why it was in use. So, roughly 51.5% of our total electricity demand was met through renewable energy. That simply means we are now shifting towards renewable energy. Okay. Now, one question might be there in your mind. If we are doing so well in renewable energy, why we are shifting towards nuclear? Because in the budget of 2025, the government had announced a vision of 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047. Subsequently, Shanti Bill was also introduced. Why so? The problem with renewable energy, especially wind and solar energy, is that we cannot control the intensity. In winters, we cannot control the sun. So if we have produced it, we need to store it. So we need to invest money in the storage infrastructure. And that's why we are exploring other avenues of energy, that is nuclear energy. Okay. Now, renewable energy is energy from those sources where replenishment is faster than the consumption. Okay, that will be considered as renewable energy. What is our target? Target is 50% of the installed capacity by 2030. This is explained in Panchamrit target. Panchamrit basically refers to 5 target which was specified in Glasgow summit. Okay. How much is our installed non-fossil capacity? That is roughly 51.1%. In terms of global ranking, India is 4th in renewable energy, 4th in wind, 3rd in solar, and 3rd in ethanol production. 4433. And this is our non-fossil fuel. So roughly we generate 8 gigawatt through nuclear energy and roughly this much gigawatt through other sources. In these sources, wind, solar are the major component. Next is related to seed management. Understand the draft was released, and that's why this entire issue was in news. Previously, we also have Seed Act of 1966. That act provided for registration of limited varieties only. Now, this draft says that we have to register all the varieties which are sold. So that is one difference. Second is, as mentioned earlier, that registration was not mandatory for all. Now registration is mandatory for every seed which is to be sold. Previously, quality assurance was for limited items. Now there will be strict norms for quality assurance. For that, we have a platform named as Sathi portal. Sathi. So just remember this Sathi portal. Farmers can save, exchange, and sell seeds. To ensure traceability, we have Sathi portal. Okay. Now understand, this is just a draft, so you need not to mug up everything, but just understand that government is trying to upgrade the norms related to the seeds. Okay. Previously, the Seed Act of 1966, it did not adequately address the hybrid, genetically modified, or biotechnology based seeds. Why not? Because at that time, of course, these were not the that much prominent product. Now they are. So of course, the draft bill talks about that. You need not to mug up everything. And last is related to the seed replacement rate. Understand? If we are going to use certified seeds, the productivity will be quite high. But farmers do not use certified seeds, they use seeds from the last crop. Why so? Because they don't have that much money. 86% farmers are small and marginal farmers. So that's why they prefer to use the old seed from the last crop. And that is why our productivity is quite low. So the seed replacement rate is the ratio of use of certified seeds to the traditional seeds. If we are going to use more and more certified seeds, the ratio will be higher. But in our country, it is quite low because we use more traditional seeds. That is the meaning. In certain cases, it is below 25 to 30%. That means only 25 to 30% farmers, they use these kind of certified seeds, and that's why the productivity will be low. Next is related to vultures. So recently, Wildlife Institute of India released the first all India assessment and monitoring of endangered vulture species. This is first such thing. So just remember, these are the four critically endangered vulture varieties: white-rumped, Indian vulture, slender-billed, and red-headed. Next is related to cheetah translocation project. Now understand, we are planning to translocate cheetah from Botswana. Okay, under this project, cheetah, how many cheetah? 8. This was launched in 2022. So we have already imported cheetah from Namibia to Kono National Park and from the South Africa. Okay, 8 were from Namibia and 12 were from South Africa. So we are translocating African cheetahs. Why so? Because cheetah became extinct in our country, I think, in 1952. Okay, who is going to implement it? It will be implemented by NTCA. What is NTCA? National Tiger Conservation Authority. It is a statutory body as per Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And who is the chairperson of NTCA? Environment Minister is the chairperson of this. Next is Supreme Court direction for the Tiger Reserve protection. Again, just remember or just try to understand it logically. If Supreme Court has given direction, what will be the crux of those directions? That protect the core area, do not try to encroach the core area. That's it. So tiger safari restrictions, they are prohibited in core area, and they are prohibited in the night in the core areas. They are allowed only in the known forest or degraded forest land in the buffer zone. Some activities are allowed in buffer zone, but in core area we have to keep it intact. That's it. Rest everything is quite common. Next is related to Supreme Court recalls judgment on ex post facto environmental clearance. Let me simplify. Let's say there is a project. Now this project has not received environmental clearance. The project was started. If it seek environmental clearance after starting, and if the government allow clearance after starting, this is referred as ex post facto. That means in later date the clearance was given. So in one Shakti judgment, the court declared that such an ex post facto environmental clearance, they are not allowed. In one Shakti judgment, this is judgment of, I think, April or May. Now the court has recalled that judgment. Recalled basically means said that this was wrong judgment. Why the court said that this was wrong judgment? The court said that in previous instances, the court has allowed ex post facto clearance in certain exceptional cases. For example, just remember this case in D. Swami versus Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. The court allowed the ex post facto approval. Okay, three things. Ex post facto means project has started, now environment clearance was given. Ideally, it should have been done earlier. In one Shakti judgment, court said no, you should not give ex post facto approval. Now, court said that one Shakti judgment was wrong. Why so? Because in past cases, the court has allowed ex post facto approval in certain cases. Okay, that is the entire issue. Next is a dump site remediation accelerator program. Garbage is dumped. This is dump site. We want to reclaim that. We want to address that problem. So for that, this program is launched under Swachh Bharat Mission. Duration is 1 year. We don't want waste sites. So what we are doing? What is the objective? Lakshya zero dump site. So what we are doing? Two terms are there. One is bio-capping. See, cap basically means layer. So there's a garbage site. We are trying to cap it with natural trees and vegetation. That is bio-capping. So converting dump site into natural environment. That is one thing. By covering them with the layer of soil and vegetation, creating a natural cap. Cap basically means upper kind of layer is being created over that dump site. Second is biomining. In a very simple sense, mining is being done with the help of microorganism. What kind of mining? So those dump sites have a lot of mineral resources. Lot of resources are there. So we are using microorganisms to extract those resources from the dump sites or from the garbage site. Next is related to global reporting initiative. Just remember this thing. It is initiative launched by Integrity Matters Checklist. It is a UN endorsed framework for whom? For the companies that they need to disclose their environmental impact in their reports. In a very simple sense, you are a company, how much carbon you are emitting, you need to specify. That's it. This was GRI was launched in established in 1997. It is similar to ESG. है ना? What is ESG? Environment, social and governance disclosure covering the economic, environmental and social impact. So this enable the ESG disclosure. There was a question on ESG in the 2025 prelims. Next is lead it. What is lead it? Leadership group for industry transition. In a very simple sense, we are focusing on reducing carbon emission in the industry. So recently, during COP30, our environment minister addressed this roundtable. This was jointly announced by India and Sweden. What is the objective? Reduce carbon emission in the industries. Okay. Next is UAE consensus. Just remember, during COP28, the first global stocktake under Paris Agreement was established. Meaning, so Paris Agreement specified that we are going to take steps. Now, what step we have taken? This was first analyzed during this COP28, which was in UAE 2023. In 2024, it was in Azerbaijan. In 2025, it was in Brazil. Okay. So it basically discussed energy transition, like we have to move away from coal and we have to use renewable energy sources. It also discussed about climate finance and global goal. Understand, this is our ideal goal. We want to keep it to 1.5 degree, but of course, various reports have specified that it is very difficult to reach to that target. Okay. Next is UNEP adaptation gap report. So developing countries face this much resource crunch to deal with the adaptation. In a very simple sense, to deal with the climate change, they need money and they don't have that much money. The current funding is only $26 billion and they need per year $300 billion to $365 billion. Next is emission gap report. It is released by UNEP, and as per that, even if the countries which are specifying their national contribution, even if we are able to achieve those targets, we will not be able to keep our temperature rise to 1.5 degree. Temperature rise will be higher than that, and it could be roughly 2.3 to 2.5 degree. Okay. And in terms of absolute increase in emission, absolute basically means overall increase. So India and China have highest absolute increase. But understand why India and China? Because we are two most populated countries. So overall emission is quite high. Our per capita emission is below global average. Let's say, I'm simplifying. We are 100 people, so we are emitting 100 kg. One person per kg. This is our per capita. but it is lower than the global average. This is the meaning. Next is status of the cryosphere report. So cryosphere basically means that part which is frozen. Nothing much is here. It is released by International Cryosphere Climate Initiative. Now, the impact is quite obvious that because of climate change, these uh, particular areas are facing problem. Ice is melting, the top layer is melting, so water level is rising, islands are submerging. Next is Global Cooling Watch Report. Again, it is released by UNEP Cool Coalition. In a very simple sense, our cooling demands are increasing. Why they are increasing? Because of climate change. What is happening? The earth is becoming more warm, and therefore we need more and more cooling. For example, in a very simplified sense, we need more and more AC. So it emphasizes that the cooling demand is going to increase by 3 times by 2050. Again, no need to mug up, just understand this is quite logical. We also need to focus on passive cooling. See, AC is active cooling. We have to install AC. Trees are passive cooling, they will have cooling impact. So we have to focus on these things. We have to focus on urban planning. Then we have to focus on low energy cooling, those initiatives which are not going to consume much energy. And we also have to focus on the rapid HFC phase down. Understand, TFC were there. TFC had adverse impact on the ozone layer. So that's why Vienna Convention was there and Montreal Protocol was there to reduce CFC. So from CFC we shifted to HFC. What is the problem with HFC? HFC are not depleting ozone layer, but they are GHG. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas emission. So now we want to phase down the GHG as well. For that there was Kigali Agreement. Okay. Next is Climate Change Performance Index. So this is an index covering roughly 90% of the global emission. Now just understand the performance of India. So India is on 23rd rank. Previously we were on high performer category. Now we are in medium performer category. There is problem is that we don't have any national coal exit timeline. That means by what time we will stop using coal. Why we are not specifying any timeline? Because we started very late. We are a developing country. We need resources for our development. So as per this climate change performance index, it is released by German Watch, New Climate Institute, and Climate Action Network. No country is in the top 3, and Denmark is on 4th position, and followed by UK and Morocco. India is on 23rd position, as we have discussed. Next is Climate Risk Index. So Climate Risk Index basically talks about the risk posed by the climate change. So this is also released by German Watch. India is on 15th position, and in the duration of 1995 to 2024, that means in this entire duration we are on 9th position. So we are highly vulnerable to climate change. Next is State of Food and Agriculture Report of 2025. So this is released by FAO, that is Food and Agriculture Organization. This talks about the land degradation. What is land degradation? In a very simple sense, ability of land has degraded. Now it will not be able to provide those services which it was providing earlier. For example, productivity will decline. So that is degradation in the quality of land. So because of that, there will be 10% lower productivity or crop yield. Now over a period of time, it will adversely impact the food security of the planet. And then there is a Montreal Protocol. So 37th meeting was organized recently. Now understand. Let me simplify this entire issue. There is CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. They depleted ozone. So that's why Vienna Convention was there and Montreal Protocol was there. What was the objective? To replace CFC. So instead of CFC, we started using HFC. What is HFC? Hydrofluorocarbon. Now the problem is that they do not deplete ozone, but they are GHG. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas. So that's why after Kigali, we are trying to phase them down. That is all about this entire thing. Next is Minamata Convention. So understand this is for the mercury. So recently, 6th Conference of Parties of Minamata Convention was organized in Geneva. The objective is to eliminate mercury added skin lightening project. product. You understand? Mercury, when it interact with air, it create methyl mercury, which is highly toxic. So methyl mercury is toxic, and that's why to deal with this issue, we have this Minamata Convention. So in this recent COP6, the countries agreed to end the use of dental amalgam. Why to use? Why to end this use? In a very simple sense, this usage will produce methyl mercury. It will produce mercury toxin, and which will lead to methyl mercury. Okay, it is highly toxic, and subsequently, what happens is that it is accumulated in the fish. Now, understand. Let's say small fish is there, it is having a concentration of mercury, and a bigger fish is going to eat that fish, small fish. Subsequently, human beings are going to eat, so the concentration will keep on increasing. That is referred as bioaccumulation. So this is Minamata Convention on Mercury. And last is Lake Turkana. Why it was in news? Because of climate change, what has happened, the water level in this lake has gone down, and that's why the earthquake activity has increased. Understand this? This is lake. Water level has gone down. The pressure on the surface of earth, or pressure on the crust, has gone down. Why? Because less water is there. Consider it like a bowl. So if there will be less water in the bowl, what will happen? The crust will have less pressure, or the bottom of that bowl will have less pressure. So that's why whenever there will be earthquake eruptions, they will be more frequent, because now they will be able to break the pressure. So just understand this concept. And it is the world's largest permanent desert lake and largest alkaline lake. It is situated in Kenya, and the northern tip extend into Ethiopia. Roughly 90% of water into this lake comes from Omo River, which is situated in Ethiopia. Let's have a look at the geographical location of this one. So, uh, just a second. This is Ethiopia, and this is Omo River. Okay, this is Kenya, and this is Lake Turkana. And last is related to volcanic eruption. So Mount Semeru in Indonesia was in news. It is because of volcanic eruption. It is on Java Island, and it is part of Pacific Ring of Fire, which is highly prone to these earthquake and volcanic eruptions. And this is the geographical location of Mount Semeru. This is Java Sea. This is Malaysia. This is Indonesia. And next is Haile Gobi. So this is in Ethiopia. Why it was in news? Because of the eruption, and because of that eruption, there was a visibility issue, and that's why a lot of Indian flights were diverted. So now understand its geographical location. This is Haile Gobi. This is Ethiopia. This is Somalia. This is Djibouti, and this is Eritrea. Red Sea is there. Gulf of Aden is there. Yemen is there. Yemen is under Houthis, which are supported by Iran. This is Saudi Arabia. So these were the important environment related current affairs. So now we are going to start the social issue. The first is related to decolonization of Indian mind. So this is on the basis of a statement by the Prime Minister that we have to take a 10-year pledge so that we can get rid of our colonial mindset. Just remember that Britishers, they instilled a sense of inferiority in the minds of Indians, that they are superior and Indian inferior. Okay. In this context, just go through the contribution of Macaulay administration. Okay. Again, it is part of history, explicitly mentioned in the spectrum. No need to cover it from here. Okay, next is related to juvenile justice system in India. So juvenile are basically those child who are in conflict with the law. In a very simple sense, how we are going to deal with the child, those who have committed a crime. For that, we have juvenile justice system. So Juvenile Justice Act was enacted in 2015, and subsequently 10 years has been over. So what has been its performance? So there was a report related to it. Now, under this act, there is a provision of juvenile justice board, which is to be set up in every district. Please remember every district, and the monitoring and implementation will be uh, seen by NCPCR, that is National Commission for Protection of Child Right. And similarly, at state level, there is State Commission for Protection of Child Right. What is the issue? Issue is that only 18 states and Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir have these boards in every district. So we don't even have these kind of boards at every level, and there are rising pendency cases are pending. There is no central public repository for cases related to juvenile, so we have less access to information, and the funding is inadequate. Next is related to curriculum on AI in school. The government is planning to focus on AI curriculum from class 3, and teachers will be provided training through NISTA platform. Just remember, NISTA is for teachers training. So, National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Advancement. Advancement basically means we are going to provide better training to the teachers. Next is, what is the challenge of this AI? AI pose a risk of diseducation. Understand this carefully. People don't want to learn nowadays. They will just try to search it on ChatGPT, and they think that okay, they have learned it. So this AI is reducing the incentive to learn, and this is referred as a diseducation. Next is related to SOAR initiative, that is skilling for AI readiness. There are some of the initiatives related to AI. Next is second World Summit for Sustainable Development. Yes, this is important. So first summit on sustainable development was in Copenhagen in Denmark in 1995. So it completed 30 years. This was second such summit which was organized in Doha in Qatar. Okay. Now, understand. Uh, Apart from this summit, that means on the sidelines of this summit, there was first high-level meeting of Global Alliance Against Poverty and Hunger. This alliance was launched during last G20 summit, which was hosted by Brazil. Okay. Now, what are the key objectives of this Doha Declaration? As the name suggests, it is related to social development. So, it is going to focus on social issues. Who is going to implement it? UN Commission for Social Development, that is going to be responsible for implementation. There are three pillars: poverty, productive employment, and peace and. It reaffirms the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. Addis Ababa Action Agenda is for financing for sustainable development goal. Similarly, there is similar commitment for sustainable development. Next is generational ban on tobacco. In a very simple sense, after a specific age, no one of that country will be able to buy tobacco. So Maldives recently became the first country to do so. So anyone, this ban became effective from November 2025. Anyone who is born after 1st January 2007, they will not be able to buy tobacco in that country, including tourists. So this is a bold initiative taken by the Maldives. Next is various reports. One is International Migration Outlook. So this is released by OECD. Roughly 2 lakh Indian citizens have acquired the citizenship of OECD countries in 2023. Next is World Urbanization Report. So this is released by UNDESA, and roughly 45% of the population now reside in the cities. And the number of mega cities basically means the population is more than 10 million. That has increased from 8 to 33. Jakarta, that is in Indonesia, is the most populous city. It is followed by Dhaka, Tokyo, and Delhi. And with this, the social security section is over. Okay, so now we are at the first is National Health Mission. One health basic environment, health of animal, health of, that is integrated. So for that, who is going to be the nodal agency? ICMR, that of medical and anchor institute. This is on health. They are integrated. Next is national action and on antimicrobial resistance. Understand? Let's say there is infection. Person has taken antibiotic. Sometimes what happens is that people take antibiotic on their own without consulting. Over a period of time, these antibiotics are not able to kill those bacteria in a very simple sense. That means the bacteria is now resistant. This is referred as antimicrobial resistance. The microbe is resistant to that medicine. So for that, we have announced the national action plan on microbial resistance. This follows one health approach and whole of the government approach. Just remember these two keywords which you can use in your mains answer. One health approach we have already discussed: health of animal, health of environment, health of human being. Integrated. Whole of the government approach basically means different ministries will come together to implement this. Next is Birsa 101. See, this is 150th anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. So in that context, this 101 Birsa 101 initiative was announced. What is this? It is first indigenous made in India, CRISPR based gene editing therapy. See, CRISPR is a technology for gene editing. Okay, and this therapy is referred as Birsa 101. For what purpose? For sickle cell disease. What is sickle cell? In this case, the cell is of sickle shape. So this is going to be like this, and because of this sickle shape, it is not going to be capable enough to carry that much oxygen. So it adversely impact the oxygen carrying capacity of the cell. So we have developed a gene editing therapy with the help of CRISPR technology deal with the problem of sickle cell. This is referred as Birsa 101. Why Birsa 101? Because it is the 150th birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Okay, who has developed it? ICMR, ICIB. What is ICMR? Sorry, CSIR. It will be CSIR actually. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Institute of Genomics and Native Biology. For a technology transfer, they have signed an agreement with Serum Institute. Now, what is CRISPR? This has been asked in UPSC multiple times. CRISPR is clustered regulatory interspaced short palindromic repeat. Don't try to cram the full form. Just understand this is for gene editing. In this context, recently there was gene editing in plant technology also, and this is referred as TNPB. Just remember this thing. So this TNPB protein will help in gene editing for plants, and this has been developed by the Indian scientists at ICAR CRRI. Then there was one more technology related to CRISPR, that is close Cas9. So in this case, what happens whenever there will be gene editing, the protein will light up. It's just like understand. Whenever the task is completed successfully, there is a green light. Similarly, in case there will be light, just remember glow. The term glow basically refers to lightening up whenever there will be gene editing, successful gene editing. So this has been developed by the scientists from the Kolkata-based Bose Institute. Okay. Next is related to the TB report. Understand. Uh, the TB cases has gone down by 21%. India is home to roughly 25% of the global cases, roughly one fourth, and roughly 32% of the cases, more than 32% of the cases in India are multi-drug resistant. Let's say globally there are 100 multi-drug resistant cases. Out of that, 32 are in India. What is multi-drug resistant? Uh, we have discussed the concept of antimicrobial resistance. That means the microbes are resistant to the medicine. Now we have tried another medicine; they are resistant to this as well. We have tried another one; they are resistant to this. That's what is multi-drug resistant. Next is GSAT-7R. So it is a satellite which was recently launched. Now understand this GSAT series satellites. They are communication satellites used by our security forces. So the GSAT-7 Rukmani is first dedicated military satellite. GSAT-7A, this is used by Air Force, and then there is for Army also, that 7B. So just remember they are communication satellites used by our security forces. Next car 9. See, understand the concept of car. Let first give yes. So what happens? Cancer. Cancer basically means abnormal growth of the cell. So in this case, what is being done? The blood is drawn from the patient to get a WBC, that is white blood cell. Now this is modified. Genetic engineering is done that cell to introduce a new protein. This is referred as CAR, that is chimeric antigen receptor. Okay, then this modified cell is reinserted into the body of the patient, and then this cell will start fighting with the cancer cell. Okay, WBC, we modified it, then it was reinserted into the patient body. Now it is going to fight with the cancer. That's why it is also referred as a living drug. Living. Why living? Because it is part of your own body, and it is still functioning, and it is fighting the cancer. Okay, now why it was in use? Understand? So recently, this CAR-19 therapy was developed for B cell blood cancer. This was developed by ImmunoACT. Okay? This is a company which is incubated by IIT Bombay. Okay. Now this is first indigenous chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy. We have already discussed these nuances. The second drug recently, second such living drug was also in use, and this is Cartemi. Just remember the spelling CAR. This why this CAR is mentioned in this case, chimeric antigen receptor. So from that CAR, they have mentioned it like Cartemi. Okay. Next is development in quantum technology. Understand. First is QC. What is QC? Quantum random number generator system. So this is quantum security chip. In a very simple sense, it is going to generate random number which will help in encryption. So that is important from security perspective. And it has been developed by QNU Labs. Then there is a quantum processing unit. It is India's first quantum computing chip which has been developed by UPI Okay. Then there is a quantum information scrambling. See, understand the purpose of scrambling. Uh, one information is there. Now, instead of putting the entire information, it is spread in parts, in bits and pieces. That is referred as information scrambling. So that no one will be able to have complete information. Yeah, a beautiful example is given in the magazine itself that if we are going to say put a drop of any dye in ocean, so what will happen? This will spread in the entire ocean, and therefore the concentration will not be that much high. Similarly, if we are going to put entire information in a scattered format, that is referred as quantum information scrambling. It refers to rapid spread of information across a quantum system, making it inaccessible to local measurement. That means one will not have complete information. It is scattered. We have already discussed drop of dye dispersed in water. Now there are two important principles of quantum computing: superposition. That means conventional computer can store 0 or 1. It can store both. Entanglement. That means position of one will influence the position of another. Next is satellite-based internet. We have already covered Starlink. This is a project by Elon Musk. Recently, it signed agreement with Maharashtra government to provide the internet. See, understand in this case, there won't be requirement of tower because the device will catch the signals from the satellite itself. Next is vanadium redox flow battery. Understand there are two concept of flow. Flow basically means the electrolytes are liquid. Solid battery basically means the electrolytes are solid. Okay, so recently India's first megawatt hour scale vanadium redox flow battery was inaugurated as at NTPC Netra. What is Netra? It is NTPC Energy Technology Research Alliance. That is a research wing of NTPC. What is NTPC? National Thermal Power Corporation. Okay, so flow batteries use liquid electrolyte. So in this case, the name itself is self-explanatory. Vanadium is the electrolyte. Okay, solid batteries are relatively safer because they are less prone to leakage, especially in the high temperature. Next is Escapade mission. So it is a mission of NASA. It is going to launch in the Earth's Lagrange point number 2. Okay, Now understand. Again, first let me explain the Lagrange point. Uh, this is Sun. This is Earth. This is Earth. Now, understand they have gravitational pull. Whenever we are going to launch any satellite, they are going to pull that satellite towards them. So the satellite need to use fuel to counter that pull. But there are certain places where that pull is not that much effective and it balance out. These points are referred as Lagrange point. So L3 is there, L4 is there. This is L1 and this is L2 and this is L5. Okay. Now we have Aditya L1 mission. This L1 is basically means our mission will be launched at this point. So between Earth and Sun. So the gravitational pull of each other will cancel out. Now you might wonder that Sun have higher gravitational pull. That's why understand it is far away from Sun. It is closer to Earth. So in this case, we are saying the gravitational pull will balance out. Now I am assuming it should be clear. Okay, so since it will balance out, our aircraft or spacecraft will not have to consume that much fuel to maintain or to stay in that position. Why so? Because now the pull of Sun and the pull of Earth, they are balancing out, so no one is pulling. Okay, now coming to this mission of NASA. So recently this was launched on Lagrange point 2. Next is Sentinel 6B satellite. So again, it is joint initiative of NASA and European Space Agency track the satellite ocean and to understand the impact of rising sea level. Okay. Next is ricin and ammonium nitrate. Now understand ricin was recently found and it can be very toxic. It is naturally found in castor beans. It can be used to kill someone, and there is no treatment or antidote. It can prevent cell from making essential protein, and therefore the person is going to die. Next is ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate is not explosive directly, but it can be used to manufacture other explosives. Next is promotion of research and innovation in the pharma and medtech scheme. Name itself is self-explanatory. We want to promote research and innovation in the pharma sector. For that, government has allocated 5,000 crores. And just remember, in this case, it will be implemented by Department of Pharma, which is under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. The examiner can give you a trap that it is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, so there are two components of this scheme. Under first component, we are going to set up infrastructure, and another component is promotion of research. With this, the science and technology portion is over. Now we are going to cover the last part, that is culture. In culture, first is related to UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy. So Lucknow has been designated as UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy because of its unique cuisine and culture. And it became the second Indian city after Hyderabad. So this is factual information related to Lucknow. Next is related to Bhagwan Birsa Munda. We have already covered that this is 150th birth anniversary, and that's why Janjatiya Gaurav Divas was celebrated. Okay. Now understand the causes of Munda revolt and what were the objective outcome of the revolt. Already covered in Spectrum. Please read it from there. Next is 150 years of Arya Samaj. So just go through all the development and stance related to Arya Samaj. A question can be there. So recently, Prime Minister addressed the International Arya Samaj Summit of 2025. This was a 200th birth anniversary of Dayanand Saraswati and 150th year of Arya Samaj. It was set up in 1875 by Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati. The branch of Arya Samaj was set up in Lahore in 1877. Next is related to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. This is his 150th birth anniversary, and his birth anniversary is celebrated as Rashtriya Ekta Divas. Then there was a 350th martyrdom anniversary of Guru Tegh Bahadur on 24th of November, and that's why uh, this was in news. So Guru Tegh Bahadur ji was the ninth Sikh Guru. He promoted the idea of universal brotherhood against the caste and all these discrimination. Next is related to ICC Women's World Cup. So India won the World Cup for the first time in ICC Women's Trophy versus South Africa, and India hosted it. Yeah. So far, Australia has won the highest number of trophies. Next is related to GI tag. GI is geographical indication. It is given for a duration of 10 years. So recently, Ambaji marble from Gujarat was given GI tag. This is how it looks. White marble is here, and then there is a Meerut Bugul. So it is a wind instrument which is used mainly in military ceremony. So this is like, and there is a Gandhi Peace Prize, Indira Gandhi Peace Prize. This was given to Michelle Bachelet. She was the former president of Chile. And there is one more scheme also, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So guideline has been revised. Just remember, it is a crop insurance scheme started by the central government, central sector scheme. There, farmers have to pay the premium, and for Kharif crop, it is 2% premium. For Rabi crop, it is 1.5%. For horticulture crop, it is 5% premium. So with this magazine is over. The PDF of this lecture or this entire magazine is available on the Civil Academy app. Please check it from.